Yeah.
Moving on to our next story at hand. This is a concerning. Actually, speaking of the Epic Game Store we were just talking about. So this was posted on a website called BarrelRoll.com, written by Andy Wayne. Epic Games says they won't make another Metro Exodus mistake again. Epic Games have been boiling in hot water recently. When they made a deal with Metro Exodus and having the game be exclusive to the Epic Game Store. They learned from their mistakes, but even then, they're still signing exclusive deals with developers nonstop. Additionally, traditional Steam users are upset over this. The Metro Exodus deal with Epic was the biggest uproar in the community so far. For those unfamiliar, the game was available on Steam for sale for months prior to them being only available on the Epic Game Store. It was removed without notice and now only available to purchase on Epic's side. This obviously caused a lot of fans to be upset. Now, the further exclusive releases on the Epic Store, they will be having them excluded from the beginning, not some way through. This won't please everyone, but it should be much better than the game suddenly disappear from one DRM to another. And the reason why I bring this up, and this is kind of old news, is Tim Sweeney, the CEO of the Epic Game Store, recently posted on Twitter regarding this particular article, saying we've had a lot of discussions about this since GDC. Epic is open to continue to sign funding and sign exclusive deals with willing developers and publishers regardless of their previous plans or announcements around Steam, um, which which he is indicating, or what I gathered from that is that he has no problem signing anybody on Steam, any game publisher or any game company who wants to come to the Epic Game Store, regardless if that game has been already announced for Steam or has been on Steam. And I'm very curious to see how do you feel of the idea of Epic Game Store making exclusive deals, but like also making deals with game companies that are already on Steam to then port it into their platform.
That's, no, that's ridiculous to me. That's. I mean, I think of it from this aspect. Like, if I was playing a game on Xbox, and then suddenly tomorrow it's on PS4,
Mm-hmm.
and not on Xbox, but I had already bought it on Xbox, but my friends couldn't buy it suddenly. Like, I'd be pissed. I would reasonably, understandably be upset, and um, so I get Steam users being upset about that. Like, I totally get that. Granted, Metro Exodus is a single player game. Um, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. I was like, I think it is. So at the end of the day, like you would just have to like if you couldn't find it on Steam, you just have to download the launcher. Um, but yeah, you wouldn't want to do that. Like that just seems ridiculous to me to switch that. Um, like I do get the being upset about that. Uh, but at the end of the day, like you and I've said before, like they're and like when people say like, oh, they're not just launchers, I'm like, no, they are just launchers. Like that's
Right.
uh
Like
um
when I saw that tweet and kind of harking back to that article, because in that article they said in a panel, like during at GDC when that question came up, they said they don't want to do another Metro Exodus. Like they don't want to did to that company and to that game, when they were making that deal and porting it over to the Epic Game Store, because they got a lot of backlash behind about it.
right.
The devs were they were hating that whatever exclusive deals was happening was out of their control, and whatever hate was going toward their way, it wasn't on them. It was because of what the higher ups were doing. And I
Right,
and
right,
I
right. Randy Pitchford tried to say, by the way, about Borderlands 3 being on Epic, but people weren't listening.
Absolutely. Um, the one thing that I will say that and I'm in agreement with you is that it to me it if that is kind of the idea Tim Sweeney wants to do with this company, like they want to take games that are already on Steam or going to be on Steam or supposed to be, but then have them signed as an exclusive, time exclusive probably, on Epic Game Store. It feels kind of like wrong to me.
Why?
because if a it's the same example you just made of like if a game was on Microsoft, Xbox only, say like Halo, but then like there was an exclusive deal for them to bring it over to Sony, even though it was already there as it is. And I get it, business is business. Um, but like yeah, it's just to me like kind of seeing like a game being stripped away from another platform to put it on another platform, it feels wrong. Like I can't particularly describe that feeling. It's like kind of not to like take a hyperbole of it. Like taking a thing or taking I want to say like a baby from their mother to another person. It's most like absurd thing I can think of, but like trying to compare.
So here's a scenario. Let me give you my thoughts on this, because if a game has already launched on Steam and then suddenly is not there and moved to Epic, that's not okay. Like that's really stupid. But if it hasn't released and is exclusive to Epic, but at first they were saying that it was going to be on the Steam store, so what? So there's somebody in chat that came in, Kayoko, who says Steam has communities, game discussion forums, mod chat on their platform. It's a really popular social platform. Yeah, so is Discord and Reddit. Just saying. It's just a launcher, man. Like, I'm sorry to sound rude about it, but like to argue that those things make Steam more than just a launcher is ridiculous to me, because there's a lot of things that have social aspects to them. But anyway, I digress. The idea that gaming should be in a sense, a socialist thing is so absurd to me. As it is art. Hey, Genocide, what's up, man? It is also a capitalist thing. They're trying to make money.
Yeah.
And if a studio says, "Oh, we can make money by taking this money from basically a studio that's going to launch our game exclusively," they're going to take that deal. And you, as the gamer, have to just fucking deal with it. That's why it's not a thing for me. We've seen that in the past, by the way, on console, where a game was supposed to come out for Xbox, but then doesn't.
That's true.
Because
Very
PlayStation
true.
made a deal or some shit like that.
Very true.
And guess what I did? I was just like, well, I guess I'm not playing that game, because I don't have a PlayStation.
Let's
now, but like I said, if the game released on Xbox, then suddenly was not on Xbox and was PS4, I'd be upset. Which I get why people would be that way about Epic and Steam, but at the end of the day, you can argue until you're blue in the face that it's not just a launcher, but it is just a launcher. When Epic Store has a friends list, and so does Steam, the argument of I can't just play with my friends is ridiculous. The idea that you wouldn't be able to find other social places to talk to people is ridiculous. Epic is going to increase and make better their platform. And exclusive rights is business and capitalism 101. That's how this works. That's how this is always going to work.
Lest we forget that in all of this, while these deals are being made by Epic, the reason why they're making these deals and these companies are agreeing to it is because the cut is much better for game devs on the Epic Game Store versus Steam right now. One of the main points they put out there is like, hey, you're getting a much bigger chunk than Steam is going to give you. Right.
So that's the dev aspect. Absolutely, you're not wrong, Anthony. And Kayoko, I want to point out that a development company removing the choice for customers, I completely agree, is not the smartest move when it comes to business. You are limiting the audience because there are going to be people who are loyal to one platform or the other. But I do argue, Kayoko, and when I point this out with Xbox versus PlayStation, I keep looking at. I want to look at the camera, but I'm looking at the chat. When I point this out, we're gonna go over, by the way, on this one.
That's fine.
When I point this out with Xbox and PlayStation, if a game is exclusive to PlayStation or a game is exclusive to Xbox, the other group doesn't get to play that game, and it's harder for them to get to play that game because they would have to buy a whole new console. But on PC, and this is the point I make all the time, Steam is a free launcher, Epic is a free launcher. So your capability of still purchasing the game and playing it is not hindered. When I don't know what you're talking about, Genocide, so elaborate and I'll get to that. So from a business aspect, from a business standpoint, having exclusives doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. But it depends on what the exclusivity is. If the development company can see an overturn of their profit by the money that Epic is giving them to be exclusive on their platform, plus the money that they could potentially roll in with a higher percentage than Steam, that's why they're going to see that Epic is a better exclusivity deal than just being on both platforms. That's what I'm getting at. And when a lot of people don't see that, it irritates me because it's pretty obvious to me. It's right there. It's writing on the wall. But a lot of Steam users are stubborn, from what I've seen. A lot of Steam users look beyond the game. As I've said on this podcast 100 fucking times, a platform is only a vehicle to play the game. And if I want to play a game, I want to play it. I just want to play it. I don't care what system it's on. I don't care if it's on where the launcher that it's on. I want to play the game. And it's crazy to me that people are now arguing over the platform. It's just as crazy to me as when people have like, oh, PlayStation over Xbox, because it doesn't, at the end of the day, make a lot of sense. It's just a vehicle to play said game. Yeah, Epic has the right. Epic knows what they're doing. Again, do I argue that Epic needs to update their system, their platform to be better for players? Absolutely. I think that they need more options. They need there's a couple things I was just like, why? They don't have a wish list or a shopping cart. Like, they don't have that, which I'm like, that seems like a first day sort of thing, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. For those listening at home, the question was, I do agree that Steam needs competition to get their platform better. Epic has the right idea, so do Origin / Uplay, etc., etc.
Yeah. Uplay's not even a thing anymore, from what I understand. Like,
no.
Ubisoft just moved all their stuff to the other platforms.
Yep.
It's and that's the thing about Borderlands, by the way, that kills me, is like it's not a permanent exclusivity. So you could eventually get it on Steam, but what people are arguing, from what I've seen, outside of the whole like it's spyware, which it's not, is the aspect of like it doesn't have all these features, which I always argue. I'm like, yeah, I wanted to play Owlboy real bad, but I bought it on my Switch because I wanted to buy it on my Switch, and which doesn't have achievements, doesn't have my friends list. I can't compete with people, like a whole bunch of little things like that versus Xbox. So that's the point that I'm getting at. It's I get some of the critiquing towards Epic. I get it. But at the end of the day, so Kayoko says every publisher wants that sweet money without the middleman, at least until recently. Well, yeah. I mean, that's how you keep the lights on. At the end of the day, that's how you get an increase in your check and all that jazz. Like, yeah, they want money. A developer, especially a developer working for a publisher, they don't want to be shut down, so they want to sell as many copies as possible. Publishers are, at the end of the day, looking for that. They're looking for the money that's being brought in that shows investors that money can be brought in, which is what where EA essentially, or Activision, gets their money is from investors. EA and Activision get a very, very, very small percentage of sales. Very small percentage. So there's a lot of angles to this, and I think that, you know, a lot of people that I've heard talk about the situation who've gone to business class school, or they are businessmen in different aspects, or they're entrepreneurs, are just like, yeah, this is what this is. And so it's silly to me to see a lot of people be upset. Now, again, I do state, as the title says, Anthony misspelling continue.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah.
Having your game release on a platform and then moving it to a different platform is ridiculous. But I would argue that with Metro Exodus, it's a single player game, so you just have to get a different launcher. Like, sure, you don't get your achievements on Steam. Sure, you don't have your friends list that you compete with. Sure, you don't have the social aspect, yada, 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 which technically Steam would still have the social aspect for Metro Exodus. But yeah, to me, it's not as big of an issue as everyone wants to make it out to be. Epic is going to be making moves and doing stuff to compete with Steam, and what Steam needs to do, if they really want to compete, is start changing shit now. Change that percentage that devs get, that those companies get. Start changing how difficult it is for certain games to connect. Like there's a lot of things Steam needs to adjust and change. Mm-hmm. But none of this is anti-consumer by any measure. Like if Epic was here, I'll tell you what's anti-consumer. If Epic was like, it costs $10 a month to use our platform. Here's some exclusives. Yes, that's anti-consumer. That's them just looking for money, but it's a free platform. So it's so at the end of the day, let's say you want to buy Metro Exodus, whether it's on Steam or Epic, you're only paying $60. Period. Hands down, flat rate, and you get to play the game.